Good morning, students. Let us continue with the chapter The Spectator Club by Richard Steele. The person of next consideration is Sir Andrew Freeport. Author says that the next person I am going to consider here as the member of the club, the name of the person is Sir Andrew Freeport. A merchant of great eminence in the city of London. He is basically a businessman of great eminence. He is having his own identity, distinction as a businessman in the city of London. A person of indefatigable industry, strong reason, and great experience. Other characteristic feature Steele discusses here that he is a person of untiring labor, means he is a very hard worker, strong reasoning power is very strong, and great experience. He is very much experienced in the field of business. His notions of trade are noble and generous, and he calls the sea the British common. His notions, his opinions about trade, about business, they are very noble, they are very generous. And he considers that the common man of Britain, business of the Britain, it is in itself a sea. He is acquainted with commerce in all its parts, whereas commerce is concerned, whereas industry is concerned, whereas business is concerned, he is aware in all its parts, means he is completely acquainted with business, and will tell you that it is a stupid and barbarous way to extend dominion by arms. Generally, when he discusses this thing, he says that it is foolish, it is stupid, and barbarous, uncivilized. Way to extend dominion by arms. If any country increases dominion, its empire, by using power, by using army, by using valor, he says that it is a stupid and uncivilized way. For true power is to be got by arts and industry. If we really want to make a nation powerful, it lies in arts and industry. He will often argue that if this part of our trade were well cultivated, we should gain from one nation, and if another from another. Generally, he gives arguments that if a particular part of business it is cultivated, it is improved, we can earn money from a particular nation. If some other part of the business that is improved, we will be able to earn money from other nation. I have heard him prove that diligence makes more lasting acquisitions than valor. Author says that I have heard him generally says that diligence makes more lasting acquisition than valor. If something is gained diligently, laboriously, with proper exercise, it is more lasting than the things which are earned or which are gained by using power. And that sloth has ruined more nations than the sword. One thing more he says, whereas the destruction of the nation is concerned, a number of examples are there that nations are destroyed because of sloth, because of the laziness of the native people. Then the wars, then the sword. If people are laborious, if they are hardworking, they can make their nation prosperous. He abounds in several frugal maxims, amongst which the greatest favorite is, "A penny saved is a penny brought." He is knowing a number of maxims which are based on miserliness. He is against the wastage of money. He abounds in several frugal maxims. He is having a number of maxims about miserliness, amongst which is the greatest favorite is, amongst those maxims, the greatest and the favorite is, "A penny saved is a penny brought." He says generally, if you save a penny, a unit of currency, it means you earn a penny. A general trader of good sense is a pleasanter company than a general scholar. Writer says that if you are in a company of a general businessman, general trader, it is more pleasanter, it is more beneficial than the company of a general scholar, a learned man. He says that there is a difference. A general trader, whereas a businessman is concerned, he is having practical knowledge. And whereas a scholar is concerned, he is having theoretical knowledge. That's why the company of a businessman, company of a trader is much more beneficial than the company of a scholar. And Sir Andrew, having a natural unaffected eloquence, the perspicuity of his discourse gives the same pleasure that wit would give in another man. Talking about other qualities, he says that he is having natural eloquence. Eloquence, the art of speaking. He is having perspicuity, clearness in his statements, clearness in his speech. Whereas the speech is concerned, whereas the discourse is concerned. He says that gives the same pleasure that wit would give in another man. It provides same type of pleasure as wit or intelligence of another man provides. If we are in the company of a learned person, if we are in the company of an intelligent person, we are having enough to learn. But here, he is a trader, he is a businessman, but he is having an art of speech which provides pleasure. He has made his fortunes himself and says that England may be richer than other kingdoms by as plain methods as he himself is richer than other men. He has made his fortunes himself by hard work, by labor. He is a self-made man. And he says, England can be richer than other countries, other nations, in a very simple way, as he is richer than other people. Though at the same time, I can say this of him. Writer says that at the same time, I can say one thing more about this person, that there is not a point in the compass but blows home a ship in which he is an owner. He is a proper guide. Any type of business, field of business, if it is a metaphorical line in which he says that if you are there in a ship and the compass is not working, you are not able to find the proper direction. But if such person is there, he can bring the ship to the harbor. In the likewise manner, if you are there in a business and you do not know what to do, when to do, and if you are there in the company of such person, there is no need to worry. He is such a learned, such an experienced person that he can properly guide you about the business. That's all about today's lecture. Thank you very much.